Hello, MMA fans. Welcome back to part 5 of the 2020-23 MMA Prospect Series. My apologies for those of you that have been following the series. I had this video ready to go in late August, and I had a short notice call for work where I had to transfer basically across the country on a couple of days. And I was away working for 4 months, 13, 14-hour days. I just got back home, so I've been gone since late August. I got home right before the new year. So I had to put things on hold. When I got back to home here in Alberta, of course, my laptop gave out and I had to get a new laptop and a new piece of software to finish the video off. So with all that being said, I had the video pretty much done in August. And since then, we've had, a bunch of fights go on. And we had 2 fighters, actually. 1 fighter get picked up and fought in the UFC and 1 got on the Contender Series. But I'm going to leave those guys in the video rather than go back and create a bunch of rework for myself inside the software program. So having said that, we'll talk about those caveats when we get through the video. And for those of you that are new to the channel, basically this is we're in the midst of a 2023 Prospect Series by division. Today we're going to talk about 45 fighters, and these are just 45 fighters I want to talk about. Obviously, there's many other prospects I may have missed along the line, especially with this 4-month gap. But nonetheless, we're going to get into it. We'll talk about the caveats, and looking forward to continuing on with this series. One thing I will ask all the viewers, if you can, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you like the content. Feel free to comment. Love getting comments on the videos. It helps myself and the fighters I'm talking about more exposure. And you know what? It also tells me you want me to continue on with the series. So without further ado, let's get started. The rules for the series: no UFC experience, including tougher Contender Series, no Bellator experience, no PFL, no ONE FC, and no Risen. The stats for today's video: we're going to talk about 45 fighters with an average age of 26, 21 countries represented, mostly led by Russia, a combined record of 369 wins, 26 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest, and an overall finish rate of 79%. All right, folks, let's get into it. So, the first fighter we're going to talk about, I figure we get one of the caveats out of the way. This guy has since been picked up and fought in the UFC. Sharaputdin Magomedov, 29 years old, 6'2", 185 out of Russia, 12-0, 10 knockouts, 83% finish rate. Also has 5 pro exhibition fights, maybe in mixed rules, I'm not sure, but they don't count on his record. So I think between Tapology and SureDog, he's got a 12-0 record, and I think there was 5 fights that were pro exhibition. So it could be 17-0, but whatever the case is, they might not have been sanctioned MMA fights. Thailand Fighting Championship middleweight champ and Arena Global light heavyweight champ. So before I left for work for 4 months, I was back and forth on this guy because he was on the UFC roster, I thought, and then he wasn't on the UFC roster. Then I heard he was going to jail for beating someone up. It's a video on YouTube. It's either in a mall or on an airplane, or a train station. I'm not sure, but regardless, I wasn't sure, so I included him in the video. And then, of course, when I was away working, he got picked up in October and fought on the Abu Dhabi card. So decided to leave him in because, again, I didn't want to create a bunch of rework for myself. But nonetheless, this guy is dangerous. Deep kickboxing background, ferocious striker with nasty up kicks. KO heel kicks, you can see some of those on YouTube. Elbow KOs on YouTube, you name it. Deadly knees from the clinch and uses the low kick to keep opponents at distance and at bay. The one area, of course, blatantly clear from his UFC debut, even though he got to win, is his takedown offense and grappling is an area of growth he'll need to work on. But you know what? He's got the tools, and he's definitely a dangerous fighter. So cool that he's in the UFC now, and looking forward to seeing more of this guy. And that's another thing about today's video. We're going to cruise along pretty good. And if, future videos, once the series is over, I may get to shorter videos with way less fighters. But for this one, we're going to carry on quickly. Next up, Sultan Omarov, 26 years old, 6'1", 185, Bahrain/Russia, 2 wins, no losses, 1 TKO, 1 sub, 100% finish rate, and I think it actually may have changed to 4 now since I was away. But basically, he's here because of his, in-depth amateur background. IMMAF 2019 World Championship middleweight bronze. European Championship Middleweight Silver, World Cup Middleweight Bronze, 2022 Super Cup Gold, and 2022 Asian Championship Middleweight Gold. Another decorated prospect out of Eldarov's KHK team/gym. We've had many others in the series that we've talked about from that gym and in the past, and now those folks are turning pro and starting to get picked up by big promotions like the UFC. Recently turned pro and has had quick finishes so far, but like many other Bahrans and Russians, when he comes to the pro level, he comes with a wealth of amateur experience, giving him a big jump over his opponent. So an interesting prospect for sure, Sultan Omarov. Next up, excuse me, Dzhamal Medzhidov, 28 years old, 5'7", 185 out of Russia. Mixed amateur results, but the latest record I'm going to go with is the 21 wins and no losses. 2018 IMMAF World Championship Middleweight Gold, 2021 IMMAF World Championship Light Heavyweight Gold, and 2021 All-Russian MMA Championship. This guy's a beast, very powerful and competent. so many great amateur Russians are. Dzhamal is no different. Strong, controlling wrestling with some nice throws, big throws actually. There's some footage I found on him, and once he gets top control, he smothers opponents and it makes it hard for them to escape. Would like to see more of him. I hope he turns pro. I did trade some messages back and forth with him, and I know he's still actively, even though he hasn't fought in a while, he's still training, and I believe he's still looking to continue his career. Next up, Magomedrasul Gasanov, 28 years old, 6 feet, out of Russia, 19-2, 5 knockouts, 1 submission, 32% finish rate, ACA middleweight champ. Another beast from Russia. We talked about Gasanov in the 2020 series. And don't let that low percentage finish rate fool you. He's a dangerous fighter. He's been on a tear of his late, winning 14 straight, and so far he's unbeaten in the ACA promotion, which has a lot. He's beat some tough competition, and he's a powerful, well-rounded fighter. Not sure if he's on our long-term deal with ACA, but sure would like to see him get signed on with a bigger promotion, PFL, Bellator merger, or UFC, one of those. But hopefully we'll see more soon. Next up, number 5, Shamil Magomedov, 31-6-1, 185, fighting out of Russia, 12 wins, no losses, 9 knockouts, 75% finish rate. Very under the radar fighter that no one seems to talk about. Shamil is a beast. At first I thought he was wrestling only, but after watching some of his fights, he has quick, powerful hands, throws a hard, quick, accurate jab, and also a nice overhand right. Also, of course, good wrestling, controls opponents with some heavy ground and pound. At 31, let's hope he gets picked up soon. Next up, Mansur Abdul-Malik, 25-6-1, 185, fighting in the United States of America, 3 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 100% finish rate, an extensive wrestling background. Was a Beast of the East champion, 2-time Super 32 place winner, numerous high school, college accolades, obviously wrestling background, a huge weapon to have in MMA, but he's shown big KO power and decent hands overall. Very powerful and athletic. Mansur is one to watch. Next up, and this is the second caveat today about folks that get picked up since I left for work in August. But Torrez Finney, 25, 5'7", 185 out of USA, 7-0, 5 knockouts, 1 submission, 86% finish rate. He was picked up on the Contender Series, and he got the win. But he did anyway. Said he needed some more experience. Blah 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 blah. But definitely said he'd be interested in the future. Former amateur Aries Fight Series champ, former amateur Valor fight champ. You know what? This guy's a beast. He's got tons of talent, and definitely, I think, with one impressive win, he gets a shot in the UFC. Powerhouse, short, compact built, and huge strength to go along with great athleticism. Torrez closes the distance and has a very good shot, good takedowns, and follows it up by some powerful ground and pound. So definitely see him. All he needs is one impressive win, and he gets the call right back to the UFC. Omar Aliev, 23, 5'10", 185, also fought at 205, 265. Russia, 2-0, 1 knockout, 1 submission, 100% finish rate. IMMAF 2019 Junior European Champ, Junior Light Heavyweight Gold. 2019 Junior World Championship Light Heavyweight Gold. 2021 European Champion Heavyweight Silver. He's got a pro kickboxing win. Example of another Big, strong, athletic, experienced Russian amateur turning pro. Still a long way to go, but at 23, he's got time. Maybe best suited for 185. Not 100% sure if he's going to stay in that division, but looks like the wrestling aspect of his game is there, so continued development on the feet. Next up, Azamat Bekoev, 27, 5'11", 185, fighting out of Russia. 17-3, 5 knockouts, 8 submissions, 76% finish rate, LFA middleweight champ. Azamat is a legit MMA fighter who's been around a while and he has a great record and fought some tough opponents. He's very well rounded, finishes fights by both TKO and submission. Good wrestling is shown when he beat, legendary or very highly touted American college wrestler and Bellator veteran Chris Honeycutt submitted him. So to beat a guy at that level, says you're legit, very powerful and athletic. Make sure you check him out. Being the LFA middleweight champ, I would say Azamat's very, very close to a UFC contract. The LFA and UFC have a great relationship, and you see numerous fighters move up from that organization to the UFC. So I don't think Azamat will be any different, maybe with another win at the most. Next up, going to Egypt, Eslam Abdul-Basit, 30 years old, 6 feet, 185, fighting out of Egypt, like I said. 15-2, 7 knockouts, 3 submissions, 67% finish rate. UAE Arabian middleweight champ, another powerful, compact fighter, this time from Egypt. Powerful takedowns, heavy ground and pound, and finishes fights by both TKO and submission. As shown, he's shown he can go the distance. UAE has grown their brand, having champions in multiple geographics. It's a great chance to get this guy some exposure. And I'd say with another couple of wins, his popularity is going to grow. Next up, Salamu Abdurakhmanov, 31-6-2, 16-2, 3 knockouts, 6 submissions, 56% finish rate, former ACA and WFCA champion. We talked about Salamu back in 2020, and although he's 31 years of age now, I wanted to include him in the list. Very well-rounded, very tough fighter with wins over great opposition. Well-rounded and can finish fights, and also got the gas tank to go the distance. Coming off a decision loss to previous mentioned Gasanov, but he's a legit middleweight, and would love to see him get a shot in a bigger promotion, especially now at the age of 31. Moving on, Georgia. We always see a lot of tough folks coming to Georgia. Tornike Gigauri, 26, 6'1", 7-0, 1 knockout, 6 submissions, 100% finish rate, GFC 185 middleweight champion. An up-and-coming beast from Georgia. Tariq most certainly can eventually land a spot in a big promotion. If you watch his early fights, he was pretty raw. Now he's developed into a more slick fighter. Still room for growth, of course, but 7 fights, 7 finishes, very physically strong. The wrestling is there, so needs to just work more on his feet. You could definitely see this guy on the big screen someday. Excuse me. Next up, New Zealand amateur fighter Fergus Jenkins, 22, 6'2", 185, 12 wins, 1 loss as an amateur. 2021 IMMAF champion, XFC amateur middleweight champion. City kickboxing with the likes of Izzy Adesanya and Alexander Volkanovski, so some great training partners. An interesting prospect out of New Zealand. Tall, long, athletic fighter who moves well on his feet and has shown many different slick submissions during his amateur career. Example, Von Flue choke win, Darce choke win, to name a few. TKO loss in his last fight, but for sure an up-and-comer, just 22. Great start to his amateur career. Next up, going back to the States, Zach Scroggin, 27, 6'3". He's one of those tweeners. There's a few tweeners going to be on the list today. So I think I've seen him fight at 175, so he's probably a welterweight/middleweight. 5-0, 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 80% finish rate, and 8-0 as an amateur. So great overall combined record. And, I feel he's large for the division at 6'3". And, as he ages, he could even maybe someday get to 205. But I think he's been fighting for close to 10 years now. Still room for development, but he's definitely got some decent, versatile skills. So hopefully we see more of Zach soon. Moving on, Ibragim Magomedov, 28, 6'1", 185. Led at Russia, 12-2, 5 knockouts, 42% finish rate. Really, the only loss was he only has 1 loss. As one of his losses was from an illegal knee. We talked about this guy in the 2020 series. He's beat some tough, durable opponents. Comfortable on his feet, good wrestling, of course, and, you know, fighting in the ACA. Nothing but tough fights there. Definitely got to check out. Another quick show is Nikita Sharshavin. He's 31, so kind of in the bubble. 6'1", 185 out of Russia, 9-0. 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, 42% finish rate. Open fighting middleweight champion. Another physically strong wrestler from Russia. Nikita is known for controlling opponents and recently become more than a finisher, finishing, out of his last 3 fights, finishing 2 opponents. And at 31, really the time is now for him if he's going to make a move. Next up, Edil Esengulov, 29, 5'8", 185, 4-0, 2 knockouts, 2 subs, 100% finish rate at Russia. IMMAF 2021 European middleweight gold, yet another amateur turned pro from Russia with a very deep amateur background. Looks to be comfortable on his feet with both hands and kicks. Seems to have good wrestling, ground and pound, and a submission threat. So looking forward to seeing more of him. Next up out of Kyrgyzstan, Edil Esengulov, another tweener, 170/185, 24-5-1, 11 knockouts, 5 submissions, 70% finish rate, open fight middleweight champ. Now fighting in the ACA against some, you know, very tough competition. This guy's a beast. 14 fight win streak, very physically strong, heavy ground and pound with big elbows, wrestling, and a submission game. He's a fight finisher, but can also go to distance. Haven't seen a ton of his stand up, but would like to get a chance to see more. So hopefully now in the ACA, I'm sure we'll get to see much more access to his fights. Next up out of Russia, Magomed Saidov, 27, 6 feet, fought at 185, 205, and as high as 265. A Russian fighter, 6-0, 4 knockouts, 2 subs, 100% finish rate. Another fight finishing beast from Russia. Saidov has some big KOs, head kick KOs, spinning back head kick KOs, and I've seen him submit opponents off his back. So his fights don't last long, 4 first-round finishes. So we'd like to see him step up on competition and see what he does against some upper echelon talent. Next up, Kerim Daudov, 26, 6'3", 185, and also 205, fighting out of Russia. 9-0, 5 knockouts, 2 submissions, 78% finish rate. Octagon middleweight champion, freestyle wrestling background. Kerim, as a southpaw fighter, looks fairly comfortable on his feet with both punching and kicking. Does have a couple of nice wins against some decent opponents. But again, we'd like to see him step up and fight a little tougher competition. Can win fights by TKO sub and also do good a distance. Again, another guy just need to see a little bit more of. Next up, and we're cruising right along here, folks, getting close to the midway mark. Carlos Petruzla, 26-6-1, another guy that's kind of a tweener. I think he's recently been fighting at 170, and I would say that's probably the best weight for him. But I had to include him in the middleweight because I didn't get a line of sight to him when I did the welterweight a few months back. 12-0, 4 knockouts, 8 submissions, 100% finish rate. Samurai Fight House champion and Shanika Fight Day champion. Again, probably better suited for 170 at this point in his career, but of course, with the 100% finish rate and the 12-0 record, I want to include him in the list. His last fight was a tough fight. Wasn't against a super experienced opponent, but he was able to pull out the win. Definitely some room for growth, but you know what? The guy's 12-0 with 12 stoppages. Regardless of, in this sport, you got to include the guy. Next up, Ryan Lodger. Again, he might be the oldest on today's list, 32. 6'1", 185 in the States. Now, the reason I included Ryan is, he is a little older and his record isn't, he's 6-1. But 4 knockouts, 67% finish rate, but is Division I All-American. And Ryan is definitely legit. Strong, athletic, highly skilled wrestler. Ryan has some great takedowns, cage control, heavy ground and pound, some nasty finishes you'll see on YouTube. He has all the tools, to win fights in bigger promotions. Just needs some more continued growth, of course, on his feet. But I think it comes down to, if he was to get a shot in the UFC, the new Bellator PFL merger, ONE FC, wherever, with the right matchups, he can definitely use his wrestling to dominate fights. So, looking forward to seeing more of Ryan. Great fighter right now. Next up, folks, and might need a little help with this one. So, Amir Fazli out of Iran. I have 2 ages for him. One says he's 29, one says he's 34. I'm not sure which one it is, but you know what? I'm taking a chance because this guy is such a dynamic striker. 6 feet, 185, 6 wins, 1 loss, 4 knockouts, 1 submission, 83% finish rate. UAE middleweight champion, big striking background, kickboxing, decorated striker, very high level kickboxing, technical, dangerous with power, and he's a fight finisher. He transitioned pretty well into MMA. And like most, standing fighters coming into the sport, developing that all-around versatile ground game, grappling, takedown defense will be key. So, check out some highlights and entertaining fighter to watch. Next up, another tweener. Again, a guy that probably could have been in the 170 video if I had discovered him when I made that video. But Mohammad Alaqraa, 24-5-11 out of Kuwait. 5-0, 1 knockout, 1 sub, 40% finish rate. Another young, talented fighter. Training at AKA now, which is awesome. Good wrestling, athleticism, ground and pound, and has a gas tank. I'm not sure if we'll see him stay at 170 or move to 185, but definitely like what I see so far. Next up, one of the more entertaining fighters on today's list, Su Hwang out of South Korea, 29-6-1, 185, 6 wins, 1 losses, 6 knockouts, 100% finish rate, Road FC middleweight champ. This guy's fun to watch. His fights don't last long. Very quick KOs, kickboxing style. Hasn't fought MMA in a couple of years, had a recent kickboxing win. Some folks may balk at the level of competition, but nonetheless, the guy's exciting to watch. Check him out on YouTube. Heavy KOs, heavy leg kicks, and entertaining. So we'll see. I like to see him back in action. Again, Road FC middleweight champ, striking, so hopefully we see more of him. Next up, Anvarbek Daniyalbekov out of Russia, 28-6-2, 170/185. Again, 8-0, 8 knockouts, 100% finish rate. Another Russian prospect. Again, very talented fighter in the very tough ACA promotion. Seems like he's decent on his feet. Looks to have wrestling, ground and pound. And in the limited footage I've seen, 8-0, 8 knockouts. You got to include him on the list. And, you know, in the ACA, he's going to get some tough fights now. Next up, moving on back to the States, Dion Young, 27-6-2, 185, 5 wins, no losses, 4 knockouts, 1 submission, 100% finish rate, undefeated. I think he's fought at both 170, 185 divisions. Still pretty raw, but very athletic and finds ways to win fights by stoppages. Wrestling is probably an area of growth, but again, he's 5-0, he's got the size, and I wanted to give him a shout out in the video. Next up, very similar to Dion, is Đani Barbir, 26-6-3, 185 out of Croatia, 6 wins, no loss, 4 knockouts, 2 submission, 100% finish rate. Again, very raw, but he's athletic and strong, and he finishes fights, so wrestling will be an area of growth for sure. Again, he just needs to get in there and get some more fights, and maybe get a little bit tougher competition, but Đani Barbir, check him out. Next up, another talented Russian, Baysangur Susurkaev, Russia, 22, 6 feet, 185, 5 wins, no losses, 5 knockouts, 100% finish rate. Again, back to Russia, another young athletic prospect with wrestling as his key attribute. Last 4 fights were in the ACA promotion. And again, like I've said many times in this video, you're going to get tough fights when you're there. All 5 wins have been by stoppage, and I believe all first round stoppages as well. So just 22 years old, looking forward to seeing more. There's lots of potential there. Next on the list, and this guy's here because of his amateur background, Yusup Magomedov out of Russia, 27-5-10, 185, 2 pro wins, no losses. His amateur accolades, 2019 IMMAF silver medal, and 2021, same thing, silver medal in the World Championships. Another quick shout out to a newly professional fighter, big prospect in Russia. I think he was 12-2 as an amateur. Not sure if you're going to see him stay at 185 or go to 170, but hoping to see more of him. Cruising right along, Sackey-El Magomedov, 29-5-10, 175-ish, another tweener. 7-1, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions, 80% finish rate, 6-0 as an amateur. Scrappy fighter, probably at this point, definitely better suited for 170. Finds ways to finish fights, and I think he's got a pretty potentially in-depth background in sambo or wrestling of some sort, but you know, not the prettiest style, but gets the job done. And you know what, with that background, I figured I'd include him on the list. Moving on, staying in Russia, Eslam Abdul-Basit, 24-5-9, another tweener again, 170/185, 19 amateur wins, 3 losses. 2021, Abdurrahman Magomedov, GMP champion, 2019 Russian Cup, 2016 Russian Youth MMA champion, 2023 Russian champion senior champ, 2018 IMMAF World Championship welterweight gold, and 2019 IMF World Championship welterweight bronze. Just another example of the countless Russians, a very talented, well-rounded, strong grappler. Again, 170, probably better suited for, but hoping to see more of this guy. And cruising right along, next up, David Arbigilov, 6'2", 185 out of Ukraine. Just 4-0, 1 knockout, 3 submissions, 100% finish rate. But you know what? There's some folks on the video today that don't have a ton of experience, but you might see them say, hey, you know what? Even though this guy's only got 5 or 6 fights and some amateur fights, he's pretty talented. So when I seen him, I realized he's a multiple world champion in combat sambo, deep background in the sport, lots of gold medals. This guy's athletic and has some great leg lock submissions from all areas, and also to go along with good wrestling takedowns. Potential growth standing, of course. I haven't seen much footage of that, but definitely a guy I'm hoping to see more of. Next up, out of Spain, David Hervey, 6'1", 185, 12 as an amateur, 2022 European champ, senior male gold in the IMMAF. Young, talented Spanish fighter, still developing at just 22 years of age. But when he decides to turn pro, he's going to have a ton of amateur background. He's going to give him an advantage over his opponents. And he can finish fights by both TKO and sub. So looking forward to seeing more of this guy. Next up, Ruslan Gabarov, 26'6", 185, and also 205 out of Russia. 5-0, 2 knockouts, 40% finish rate. Don't let the low finish rate fool you. He's a good striker with big power. You'll see a head kick KO on YouTube. Looks comfortable on his feet and appears to have good wrestling and grappling, ground and pound. So still don't have a ton of footage in this guy, but he's now fighting in the ACA, so we will start to see some. Next up, moving to Scotland, Sean Clancy Jr., just 20 years of age, 5'11". I got him in the middleweight video because I didn't see him when I made the welterweight. He probably belongs at 170. He may even fought at 155 before, but I believe his record shows he's fought middleweights before too as an amateur. So 3-0, 2 knockouts, 1 submission, 100% finish rate, 8 as an amateur. Evolution of combat amateur champion, and I believe he's won multiple amateur titles. Now fighting in Cage Warrior, so Sean is an exciting fighter. I think he's, like I said, exciting welterweight who's also fought middleweights, an amateur, entertaining to watch, very young in his career at just 20. Most definitely is a fight finisher, winning numerous fights by submission and knockout. So looking forward to seeing more Sean, exciting young fighter out of Scotland. Next up, one of the most exciting fighters on today's video, Eliezer Kubanza, 27, 5'11", 170/185 at a Congo, 5-0, 5 knockouts, 100% finish rate as an amateur, 2017 IMMAF Africa Championship welterweight gold, 2019 African Championship male middleweight gold. Explosive, powerful, fast twitch muscle fighter, KO power in hands, kicks and ground and pound. Very, very athletic fight finisher and exciting to watch. Most definitely looking forward to seeing more of this guy, and I think he's fighting in Brave FC, so he'll definitely get some exposure and some good fights in that organization. And you know what? Hopefully someday we see him in one of the bigger ones. Next up, out of South Africa, Jaco Du Plessis, 28, 6 feet, 185, again out of South Africa, 4 wins, no losses, 2 knockouts, 1 submission, 75% finish rate, 4-0 as an amateur. No relation to Dricus Du Plessis, although they do train together. That's originally I was intrigued, thinking that maybe they were relatives. But great start to his career, 8-0 if you combine pro and amateur, and he's under the UAE banner now, so he's going to get some exposure and some good fights. I've seen limited footage in Jaco, but he's definitely a game prospect and wanted to give him a shout out. Hoping to see him more soon. Moving on, Dario Ballarni, 27, 6'3", 185 at Italy, 7-1, 3 knockouts, 22 submissions, 71% finish rate. Cage Warriors middleweight champ, IMMAF 2017 European middleweight gold, 2018 Euro middleweight gold, 2018 middleweight bronze in the World Championships. Lots of experience between pro and amateur. Dario has had a great career so far, with his only loss coming to MMA Prospects alumni Will Curry. Dario is a well-rounded prospect who finishes fights, recently a submission threat, and works well off his back and transitions very well. Most likely he gets a call soon now that he's the middleweight champ of Cage Warriors. Moving on, a quick shout out to Ilian Boifia, 27, 6'4", 185 at a France, 3 wins, no losses, 3 knockouts, 100% finish rate, tall, long, athletic southpaw. Again, very athletic, fast. It throws a nice straight left hand right down the pipe. Definitely has power, and of course, he's a little bit getting up there in age of 27, but he's very young in his career as far as the professionalism goes, just the 3 fights. But you know what? This guy's got some talent, and most definitely we could see him in the bigger ranks with a few more impressive victories. So check him out, Ilian Boifia. Next on the list, Donovan Hedrick, 26, 6'1" out of USA, 5-0, 4 knockouts, 1 submission, 100% finish rate, and also 5-0 as an amateur. talent, athleticism, fight finishing prospect. With all of his pro wins coming by first round stoppage, and for what I can tell, all of his AMI fights have been also by stoppage. Seems to be well rounded. I haven't seen a ton of footage on him, but definitely want to see more. It looks powerful. Definitely got to see a little bit more to see how slick he is on his feet, but definitely a guy that deserves a shout out. So please check him out. Donovan Hendrick. Next up, Isaiah Sackey, 31, 5'11", 185 out of USA, 3-0 as a pro, 5-1 as an amateur, 5 knockouts as an amateur. Again, typically don't include guys over 30, and he's 3-0, doesn't have any stoppages. But the biggest reason I included Isaiah is because of his impressive amateur knockouts. As you know, you can check it on YouTube. This guy is physically strong. There's a real nasty head kick KO he's got on YouTube. Hopefully he stays active, and we see him fight again, because I think there's some potential there. Even though he's a little bit up there in age now, would like to see more of him. Down to three fighters, folks. These are 3 folks I just stumbled upon right before when I was finishing the video up. So Evgeny Galakachev, 27 out of Russia, 6 feet 185, 4-0, 2 knockouts, 2 submission, 100% finish rate. Young, strong prospect. Very little info on this guy, but I watched him fight recently on an ACN card where he's able to weather the storm, pull off a stoppage victory. Again, I don't know a lot about him, but he's a fight finisher. And now that he's fighting in the ACA, we'll definitely get a chance to see more of him. Second to last, Mikael Oliveira, 25, 6 feet 170 now, with the potential of a 185 for sure, in Brazil. 6-0, 6 knockouts, 100% finish rate. I wanted him on the list because I didn't discover him for the 170 video. Most likely someday ends up at 185. He's a bigger welterweight. This guy's a beast, aggressive, athletic, with power. All 6 wins coming by first round stoppage. Now fighting in the LFA, again putting him very close to the UFC, and most definitely with another impressive win or two, this guy may get a title fight in the LFA and eventually a shot in the UFC. Last but not least, Trent Miller, 28, 5'11", 185 out of USA, 5-0 as a professional, 4 knockouts, 1 submission, 100% finish rate, 5-0 as an amateur. Another prospect I stumbled across. Miller is a fight finisher with all 5 pro wins coming in the first round, including some big KOs. Also had numerous finishes in amateur career, including one kind of warrior, went back and forth with his opponent and found a way to get the win. So very physically strong. Haven't seen a massive amount of footage on him, but I'm sure we'll get to see more soon. Trent Miller, great looking prospect, and he's the last person we're going to talk about today. So in closing, folks, that's it for the middleweight video. I know we went super fast. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching today. The last 4 months have been pretty hectic for me. I am committed to finish this series. It's going to take a few months for sure. With we still have the featherweight, lightweight, flyweight, and the women's division left. So 4 more videos to finish it off. And after that, my content may change. I'm still going to do prospect videos, but probably like it was way back in the day, we might get down to 5-10 fighters video and talk more about them. And there's some other ideas I got, some other content I want to create MMA-wise for the channel. Again, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Please add a comment. It tells me that you want me to continue. It also gives more exposure to myself and fighters. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And again, looking forward to hearing back from you folks. And again, congratulate all the fighters for being part of this video. So thank you all, folks. See you next time.